Hello everyone, Tom here, Tibidis. I am talking all things Battlefleet Gothic today, specifically a Battlefleet Gothic live stream today. So yeah, we'll be talking, I'm going to have three fellow members of the Battlefleet Gothic community with me, and we're going to be chatting all things. So that's Roy straight away. The timing. All the boys straight on. Look at that. Battlefleet Gothic guys, they're all very, very, let's see how we go with all of it. Oop. Roy, there's Chris. And there we go. Hopefully Tom as well.
Cool.
Hey! It worked!
Seamless.
Seamless, boys. Seamless. Well done. It's like you guys have done this before and you're pros. Look at that.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the information.
Hello, everyone.
So I don't know why my headphones aren't working.
Welcome to everyone in the chat. You've got a green screen behind you as well, Chris. Were you aiming to get like a Battlefleet Gothic thing behind you or something?
I probably had to do it there.
All good. So thank you very much, gents, for joining me. Hopefully the light is not too bad and all that. But we will be talking all things this today. So for those that don't know the guys, I'll do a real quick intro to the lads, and then they can introduce themselves a little bit. But we've got Roy, who's Horizon here. One of the High Admiralty. If you don't know what that means, basically he's one of the guys that wrote a lot of the rules for back in the day. We've got Tom in the corner, Warcaster Celt, one of the best painters around, quite frankly, in our community, and has won multiple times the Battlefleet Gothic competition. And below me, we've also got a fantastic painter in Chris, and also has been praised by the creator of the game, Andy Chambers himself. And we are not worthy. So thanks, boys. Cheers so much for joining. This is a very much suck in and see. So please introduce yourselves. We'll start, Roy. We'll start with you, mate, because you are literally there for me.
What was the question again?
How did you get into Battlefleet Gothic? What fleets do you own? And just a little bit about yourself if people don't know you.
Yeah, well, I started Battlefleet Gothic back in 1999 when it was released. And I think much as most people back then, I had a friend. We bought 2 boxes. And we split, I got all the case cruisers, he got all the Imperial Navy. And that's when it started. And I added on the second fleet, I went back in memory, in 2004 when the 12-volt hour was released. And 2 years I collected all the races until this year I added. Finally, I got the order from a birthday. I do Chris and me. And from the very first start, I went online to the forums because in the neighborhood we were only with 2 people and we were looking for more Battlefleet Gothic players. And from that, I got involved with Warcraft at one point. I started to be the editor of that magazine for Battlefleet Gothic, which is still available and still being made after 10-year hiatus. And well, yeah, it has been a fun journey with Battlefleet Gothic, and especially the last 2 years with the complete revival actually of Battlefleet Gothic. Because we can talk later about that, but the last 2 years have been pretty much exploding in miniatures and painting, and the online community is really thriving again. So that's a lot of fun.
I 100% wholeheartedly agree. Over the past few years, it's gone from this weird, in 2013 when the game kind of died, to now barren years, and then it's definitely exploded. Definitely, we'll talk about that. Tom, please introduce yourself, mate, and you'll be. How did you get into BFG?
Yeah, so I'm Tom, otherwise known as Warcaster Keltai. kind of like Roy, I've been playing Battlefleet Gothic since about 2000, so just tail end of 1999. I came across it just by chance. I've always been a bit of a sci-fi nut. I prefer spaceships, lasers, and shields as opposed to bows and arrows and swords. Collected a massive Chaos 40k army back in the day. Walked into Games Workshop one day and they had spaceships on the tabletop, and it was love at first sight, really. So I bought the box game, started collecting Imperial Navy and Chaos. And then it just kind of grew from there. Took it with me to university, convinced a bunch of the guys that I lived and studied with to start collecting as well. And we used to have sort of weekend and weekly campaigns. When I finished uni, it went away in a box and hadn't seen the light of day for best part of 10 years almost. Then my son came of age, started asking about games I used to play, came across a couple of pictures, out they came out of the boxes, and I started modelling and painting it up again. The pandemic was a fantastic help there. It gave us all something to do. I appropriated the fleets from my former uni mates, so I've got the Eldar, Tau, and Necrons here to supplement the Imperial fleets and Chaos fleets that I've got. And yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed bringing it back up to speed. It's all, as you can see, on display here only. So I get to see it every day while I'm working. It becomes quite a talking point in meetings, really, and work.
Nice. I have to admit, I don't keep my. I've got a different office because I think that would be a bit weird if for some of my work.
Oh, yeah, you're missing out. You're missing out. The number of people that ask about it is good.
And finally, Chris, please introduce yourself to people, please, mate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Chris, aka Double Bass Fanatic. I guess my BFG journey is the shortest here, for sure. I got my first hand on my first Imperial Navy ships back then in 2013. I hope you don't hear my dog. He's always running around here. So back in 2013, I got my first Imperial Navy ships. Back then, I played maybe 1 or 2 games with a friend of mine. It was a tiny little bit boring because it was just a mirror match. And thanks to the pandemic and thanks to 3D printing, I started again with Battlefleet Gothic after a long hobby break 2.5 years ago, I guess. And yeah, I'm always trying to expand my fleets. So yeah, that's it. I guess that's my BFG journey for now.
I think collectively between the 4 of us, we probably have a considerable amount of the Battlefleet Gothic miniatures that were ever produced. So apologies to anyone who wants miniatures. Tough, we pretty much got them all. So. But yeah, I think it's interesting, Chris, you started in 2013 in a way when the game was kind of wrapping up a little bit. So it's kind of interesting you came in towards the end and then have kind of built it up from there. But it's a good side sort of segue into what do you guys think of the state of the game right now? Roy, you touched on it a minute ago. But where do you think the game, everyone calls it a dead game. Do you think it's a dead game?
Absolutely not. I think it's really alive right now. I mean, like I said, in 2013, Games closed it, and there was a little lull in a few years until 15, 16, 17. It was pretty low online. But I don't remember who, but someone said I should make the rules up with every rules available still for everyone after Games closed it. I mean, occasionally people came in and looked at rules and asked questions, but over in 2019, 20, and I think it has to do with the 3D printing. I mean, that's a given that has helped the hobby a lot. With devices like Italian Moose, Soulful, Battlefleet Galaxy, they only created all these miniatures easily available for everyone. And as such, it really grew. There's a big Discord server, there's a big Facebook page, there's Instagram has a good community. I think the game is pretty much alive at this moment without support from Games Workshop. But a really important note for games that 40K exists, and a lot of 40K players have 40K as a gateway to build spaceships, and that is what's happening with Gothic, another game like Firestorm Armada, which disappeared mostly after the years. So that's also a reason why it's still around.
I'm inclined to like the 40K. I mean, you see it even in its media at the moment with like in their new TV shows, they've got the same. They've got like Space Marine battle barges. The Tau battle that occurred in one of the recent Hammer and Bolter things as well.
Oh, the Exodite, the battle in the second episode of Exodite, that was phenomenal.
So good, and like it. So in a way, it kind of. Someone says, "I love you, Double Bass." I also love him, by the way. He's fantastic. So if you don't follow these guys, by the way, you really should. You're missing out. If you want to see really good ships, these three, you need to watch these things. But yeah, so it's good that they've got, they're keeping, like they've changed a lot in 40K. A lot of the, like they've got Primaris now and they've got the new squats, but the ships have kind of remained the same look. So it's difficult. They can't almost go back on it. A strike cruiser is a strike cruiser, so you know what I mean. Like if they bring it back as a game, then they've got to keep it in line with that. So
yeah, I think the look and feel of the original sort of Space Fleet and the early iterations of Battlefleet Gothic are very different to the what we now consider Battlefleet Gothic and the designs and the architecture that way. So as you said, the fact that they put that into the modern media now, it's sort of solidifying that look and feel. Anybody coming in looking for what's 40K, what the 40K spaceships look like, they're going to see those, and then they're going to go find those online, be it SoulForge, Battlefleet Galaxy, eBay, 3D printing. You know, they're going to find those things, whereas the older Space Fleet stuff's going to become a little more obscure, I think.
Chris, you as someone who's come in and I'm getting a lot of the newer stuff. How do you feel? How do you feel? Is it easy to get into the game? Do you think? Because I know you've played Horizon now. You've had games. How do you feel about? How do you feel like the entry point into the game? Do you think it's easy to get into BFG?
In my opinion, it's pretty easy to get into BFG, yeah, because you don't need much to play your first games. Maybe around 4 miniatures and a tabletop, and that's it. And I think the rules are for beginners at the beginning, pretty easy. As long as you separate some things out of it, like boarding actions or something like that, that is always getting a little bit complicated. Roy and I always had to look on a sheet to look, okay, what is the boarding value now? And yeah, and I think we released the starter kit last year. And packed all in with all the STLs you need, a small rule book. And here it's on German, unfortunately, but I do have one. And yeah, if you want to go in and check out BFG, definitely should go the starter kit way, in my opinion. I think it's one of the best ways.
Yeah, you touched on it there, because so for those who are watching it now and watch this back, Horizon and Chris, along with some other members of the community, helped create a Battlefleet Gothic starter kit, which included all the standard rules, the original rules, along with the FAQ in 2010, which Roy helped make and write. And also, like you said, Chris, STL files that people can print out for free, totally free, all of it free, for a Chaos and Imperial fleet. Is that correct, I believe?
Yeah,
it was those two, wasn't it?
Right.
How hard was it to put that together, guys? Like, was it pretty straightforward for you guys to put together, or was it a bit of a tricky one?
The funny thing is, it was pretty straightforward. Yeah, Me and Roy, we planned an introductory day for some friends of mine, and unfortunately, it didn't happen back then. But I planned to do 3 different matches, all with many more. At the beginning, for the first match, you only have 3 cruisers, I guess. Yeah, 3 cruisers, and you're expanding the fleets over the 3 matches they were planned, right? And so the appointment didn't happen, and I was sitting in my car and thinking, okay, what to do next? And I thought, starter kit would be a pretty good idea. So I talked to Roy and said, what do you mean? What's your opinion on it? And he said, oh yes, we can do that. And I guess it was done in 2 days.
And someone asked in the chat where you can find it. You can find it on my page, on all our pages, actually. You can find a link to all of it. So if you are looking to get into BFG, and it's totally free, you can find it on all of our pages just to download. So, yeah, and if you don't have a 3D printer, there are also cardboard cutouts you can print out for the game just to try out. Because the game's always been written for the base and stem. So if you have the correct base and stem, anything can be on top of that, really. So a cardboard cutout is perfectly acceptable. Within reason, obviously. But so yeah, you guys, and Roy, there's another. What's the website called? It's Specialist Games, isn't it?
There's Specialist Arms.
Specialist Arms. That's one.
Yeah. Yeah. And there on the forum website is the router with a link to the rulebook. Start kit is there, but also all the unofficial rules like FR 2020, Complete Heresy. All the old magazines are also available there. And I mean, I tried to collect almost everything, and I think there's only one label item that's not on there, and that's the Walkstorm PDF, which
I need to give that to you at some point, don't I? I need to try and find it so I can give it to you. But yeah, so the original rules are the XR, which is the extended rules. So I think there's a good opportunity to talk about that a little bit. Tom, coming in, mate, what do you think of all the rules? Like, is it confusing or is it pretty straightforward to like pick up?
It's all right, I think. I mean, there does seem to be 2 camps, I think, between those that stick more strictly to the original rules that came out when the game was issued. I see quite frequently on the Facebook groups people asking what rule sets they should use, and you know, is this combination of the original plus the FAQ from 2010 preferred, or should I stick to vanilla, or should I try the fan created extended rules, or the fan compilation for the 2020? And I think, you know, as with a lot of the Games Workshop games, if you agree up front with your opponent and your play group what rules you want to use, I think any and all of them are quite useful and easy to get into. I think some are more advanced than others. So I think the BFG XR rules by their name quite that bit more extended, and you can get some real depth into it. Or you can stick with just what we refer to as the blue book, which is the original rules. And Chris made a good point earlier, right? That you can have a game of BFG, get into it and play it really, really quickly without having to know all of the intricacies and all the rules. The core rules of movement, shooting, and the ordnance of fighters, bombers, torpedoes actually is really quite simple and straightforward to get your head around. So you can have a good vanilla game without complexity very, very quickly, and with a very small number of models. You can have, like, I think the first scenario is a cruiser clash, which to have a nice game of that is literally just two cruisers each. So that's 4 models in total, and you got a game. And you can have real fun there. If you want to get more in depth and more character, then start looking into the other rules and even the different rule sets, whether it's XR, whether it's 2020. I'm still trying to get my hand on a copy of Simon Slater's remastered original rules. So he compiled all of the Blue Book, Armada, the FAQ, but stayed strictly to what was published. You know, that's another one.
Yeah, that is another one. I mean, so I did write a little rules explanation on my website if anyone is interested in it, but it can be a little bit confusing. But it's good that Roy and Chris, you've created a spot that you can just peruse it and have a look at your leisure and pick out what you want. I mean, I played, so I think BFG Noob is here. I played 2 games with him today, and we didn't get into real hardcore advanced rules at all either. So like you say, no boarding. Unfortunately, no ramming either. Never mind. Next time. But I agree with you. I think it's a very easy game to pick up, but a difficult game to master.
Yeah, definitely. I think
there's a lot of sneaky rules within certain scenarios that could be played, and it's a hard game to master with a particular fleet.
Yeah, and if you're playing against somebody who's really gotten the feel and the character of the fleet they're playing against, it can be entertaining, but it can be so difficult to actually master. As you said, master and defeat them. One of the guys I used to play with collected Eldar Corsairs, and we played the original move, shoot, move rules from the Blue Book, and he nailed it. I mean, you know, the sunward table edges, getting the speeds right. Trying to catch these ships in a game was nigh on impossible.
Well, that's just Eldar, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. There's a reason why people went and made move, shoot rules rather than move, shoot rules. There is a reason for that. But I will get on to the question that Gary asked a minute ago, but I've got a bunch of fan questions from the community that I'll ask in a little bit. But of you guys, what do you think? What's your favourite fleets, by the way? What? Chris, I'll start with you, mate. What's your favourite fleet? I know you've mainly painted and getting played, but what's your favourite?
Well, I think it's probably my Craftworld Eldar fleet at the moment. So I really like mobility.
Which one are you
enough
going with?
mobility.
You going with the move shoot rules, or are you going to go with the new ones, the new XR ones?
No, move, shoot, move.
Yeah, I'm very much a stickler. I like that rule as well. I like the move, shoot, and then move rules as well. Originals, yeah.
Unfortunately, I had only one game right now with my Craftworld Eldar, but yeah, it was pretty devastating for my opponent, I have to say.
Was that Roy?
But on the other hand, I really like the Tower Protection fleet. It's also cool. I like it.
I have a confession, mate. I have never lost it. When I played with my Craftworld Eldar, I've never lost a game. That's how good they are.
Yeah.
Roy, what about you, mate? What's your favourite fleet? As someone who's been there from the very beginning, what was your favourite fleet, if you can pick one? I know it's like picking between your children, but...
I also think Craftworld Eldar, but with the move for shoot rules.
Because we're gonna mix.
Yeah, I actually written those rules, so for the most part, together with Singular. We written those rules. A lot of reasons why I won't at the right moment to explain all of them, but we thought that was a good alternative. And I really like to paint all of them.
Nice choice. I like it. We've got a few people popping in. No fixed forwards, another 3D printer. Hey mate, how you doing? Of BFG ships. Tom, what about you, mate? What's your favourite fleet?
It depends on the day for me. My first love has always been Chaos, right? It is the single largest fleet that I have. Although my Imperial Navy fleet is quickly catching up. the aesthetics of the Imperial Navy just exude grandeur and strength, right? So I do like looking at those. If you've got a big Navy fleet out,
Just
there's
saying.
nothing quite like it. Yeah. In small engagements, when you've got a handful of ships, certainly the Craft World Eldar or the Eldar Corsairs stand out with very unique designs. Yeah, I'd have to stick with my Chaos guys, I think, really. But Imperial Navy is very good.
Nice. Well, Imperial Navy is interesting because Gary asked me this question today. And what was my favorite fleet? And Imperial Navy is my favorite fleet, just from the look and also to play with, because they were my starting fleet, first ships I ever bought, and I can't. Craft World is a favorite of mine. I have to admit, the ships are beautiful, and I have a soft spot for the Games Workshop Tau. They're so ugly and yet so beautiful at the same time. Don't know what it is. I can't help it. So, I have a spot for them as well, but yeah, the
Tau
Imperial Navy
Explorer fleet feel like it's something humanity could actually build in the not too distant future. It feels very human in its design, actually.
Yeah, I agree. So, Orc power, yes, I do appreciate the ability. Yeah, I'm with you on that. The ability to be able to build a fleet out of just cardboard box and paper mache, that's an Orc. So, yeah, it's all good. So, if you guys were giving tips to get into the game, if someone came up to you and wanted to start BFG tomorrow, apart from the starter kit, you've already said that, but what could you recommend? One tip from each of you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
One tip: to just get a minute to snap some paint on it, get it on the tabletop, and have fun with it.
Yeah, I'd agree. Straight away. Quick cruiser clash, 2 models, paint them up, find somebody to play with, and just have at it. As with a lot of these games, the more you play, the more fun you're going to have, and the more you're going to get into it.
I like it. Anything from you, Chris? Because you are the newest member of us out of all of the community. So,
What was the question? Sorry.
well, to get into the game, apart from the starter kit, you can't say that. What would be your? Because we already talked about. What would be your tip for you to get in?
I have nothing more to say. It's exactly what I would do.
I would also say jump on the Discord and the Facebook pages, because there's a lot of people looking for games in both those areas. So there's the Facebook page and the Discord, and there's always people looking for games, especially in Britain where Tom is, and in like France and around Germany, where there's a lot of players still floating around, and I would say it's worth asking in your local community, because it's amazing how many people you talk to about 40k or something. It's amazing how many people will turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I've got a fleet," and they just had it on the shelf for like 10 years and never touched it.
Yeah.
And so just ask around. That's how. It's kind of funny actually how many people have said, "Oh yeah, I've got an Eldar fleet, or I've got a Chaos fleet," something like that. First, you need a 3D.
There was a period of time I bought, so just towards the tail end of the lockdown, I bought a bunch of Imperial Navy ships off of eBay, and just chatting with the guy over what condition some of the ships were in. You know, the little ram sections on the front of the Imperial Navy ships tend to get broken quite a lot, so I'm trying to figure out how many of those I need replacements for. Found out he's literally like 15 mile up the road from where I live currently, so it was a lot easier to pick up. But you know, you'd be surprised, as you said, how many people are around if you just ask.
100%, and yeah, it does help if you got a 3D printer. This game is, as I said earlier, this game is kind of made for 3D printing in many ways. Like, it's really easy to. How many guys, like all three of you, have printed off how many fleets in the past year? Like,
I will admit, I'll say this: I don't have a 3D printer of my own, but again, there's that really isn't a barrier. You can get hold of the STL files freely online, and there are so many people within this community that will print for you. If you just, you cost them a couple of quid and they'll do it for you, or there's even print services. Shameless plug, the space station that I put together on mine, the base framework for that was a 3D print that I got from a service in Swansea. Did a really good deal for it. So if you've got a 3D printer, great, you can kick off straight away yourself. If you don't, it's still not a barrier. You can still get things printed pretty quickly, pretty easily.
And of course, there are still some workshops available with style miniatures if you don't have a 3D printer. Like Battlefleet Galaxy, Ramrock miniatures, Boardforge minis, Windows Whiteforge, and Storage Sanix. You can just buy the miniature there and they're ready for you. It just makes it easier.
And you can also pick them up off Shapeways as well. Shapeways has a bunch of 3D prints if you, depending on how much money you want to spend, but then there's also amazing people who are doing designs like Italian Moose, Arcade Shipyards, who's in the chat, and No Fixed Forge as well. They're on Cults 3D, so you can always, if you can get your hands on a 3D printer or a mate, like you said, Tom, then there's loads of. There's ones on free from Thingiverse, and there's the ones you can pick up for a few dollars from the STL files. And you've got, like you said, Roy, the Soulforge Studios sells them on like Etsy as well, but you can also do a Patreon with them as well. So ships are everywhere nowadays. No excuse, I reckon, to not have a fleet, in my opinion, anymore. So
Exactly.
Gary asked earlier, guys, and I know I touched on it. So you said your favourite fleets. What's your favourite ship, though? But I'll add to that. What's your favourite ship? But you've all played games. What's the best ship in the game, do you think? Roy, I'll start with you, mate. Go on.
Okay, my favourite ship by far is the Flame of Assyria. And the way it looks, it's just great. But in game, the most important ship is the Eldar Nightshade Destroyer. Its torpedoes are just evil and destroying everything. That's it.
I felt the Nightshade choice. Nightshades, a fleet of Nightshades, which if people don't know, is the Eldar Escort. Yeah, that's just mean.
Yeah, and it's really not allowed.
How about you, Chris? What do you think? Favorite ship, and then what's the best one in the game for you?
Tough one. I really do like the Apocalypse class, I guess. I love it. I love the look of the lance batteries on the sides and the Nova cannon in front. I really like it. It looks so good, in my opinion. Yeah, the Nightshades. Point.
2 votes for the Nightshades. Wow, that's I'll send a message to Stanley Chambers and say, mate, you made these too tough. Like, what are you doing? How about you, Tom?
I think for me, my favourite ship is a toss-up between the Planet Killer and the. I guess this is a bit odd, but the activated Blackstone Fortress. I think that thing's just a beast.
That's left field. I like that. That's good.
As far as the best ship in the game, and this is only because I've faced off against it fairly recently, and it was a pain in the backside, was the Cain Tomb Ship. If that thing gets amongst your fleet, which on the stupid Necron all ahead rules is far too easy for it to do, it can really tear you up.
You know what? I agree with you. I think the Tomb Ship is horrific, and I'm with you on that. Yeah. I mean, there's ways around around the Tomb Ship, but holy hell, that's a powerful weapon of a mass destruction.
Yeah, and I had to double check it with the community, looking through the fleet rules. I'm pretty certain my own opinion that there's still a typo in the Necron fleet rules, in that every other battleship in every other fleet bar the Necrons, you've got to take like 3 cruisers before you can get your battleship. Whereas for the Cairn tomb ship, you can have 1 tomb ship for every cruiser you have, which I think is insane.
Isn't it it's 500 points though?
Well,
So, like, if someone rocks up with 3 tomb ships, you're kind of like, wait a minute, I'm not so sure about it.
now, actually, they wrote exactly that you can take 1 tomb ship and 1,500 points or 1,000 points, and it would almost treat the same. So if you have 2 tomb ships, you go over those 1,500, and 1,500 was the main point line for most of the games. So it's balanced that way.
It's an interesting. One of the questions I actually had, and I'll get around to them in a minute, was around points per allotment and points spent. So, but I'll get onto that in a little bit. But it's around the rules. But so we'll go 2 Nightshades and 2 Tomb ships. They're the 2 horrific ships in the game. I personally like the Eldar Corsair Voidstalker. That's probably my favourite ship in the game. Favourite ship to look at. I think it's quite pretty.
It's a stunning ship. It's a stunning ship, yeah.
Fun one to paint, and it's. I don't think people expect how big the thing is as well. It's huge as a ship model. Like the actual model's massive. It's like bigger than the Emperor and the Planet Killer and everything. It's huge.
Yeah, it's the sails that stick up above the ship as well as playing out underneath. So it's got a lot of height as well as width to it, whereas most of the ships are either very wide and flat or very thin but very tall. That Voidstalker has it all. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's interesting the 2 Welsh agree and then the 2 Europeans agree. I like that. I do appreciate it. Well done, guys. Well done. Keeping it good. So I asked the question of the community to see if they had any questions to ask as part of it. So if anyone's in the chat and wants to ask questions, please do. You literally have the brains trust of BFG people here that are very active in the community. So I've got a bunch of questions, so I'll just go through them and you guys answer. Right? So it's all good. So it's an interesting question, and it can vary, but we'll start with this one. How long does a BFG game take to play, and how long does it last?
Depends on the point.
I say, how long's a piece of string?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. That was from Primaris Painter, Ali, who's quite active in the community here. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting question because, like, how long does a 40k game or a Age of Sigmar game go for typically? But
yeah, I think a cruiser clash game with sort of 2 cruisers and playing, like as we said, that sort of simple skim of the rules, you can knock that out in an hour, maybe a bit longer than that. You can certainly do a much more in-depth game with the same models that can last a lot longer. Points-wise, I think once you start going above 1,000 points, you're into the several-hour-long games. I played recently against some guys. I think we had like 1,000 points each in the fleets, and it took us 3.5 hours to play through the game. It was sort of a beer and munchies like that.
Yeah, but last time Chris and I played a game with 1,000 points, and in 1 hour we had it finished. And next time you played 1,000 points, and you played 2 hours. It depends on the fleet and what happens, and on the dice. If you roll a lot of sixes, ships explode much faster.
or you do what I do and just don't brace for impact and let things blow up. If I ever get to play any of you 3 Gary experiences a day, I don't. This isn't a serious game. I don't brace for impact. It's just not a thing. Nah,
I can see you now on the bridge of your ship. It'd be like that old cliche. Captain, we're surrounded. Great. That means I can fire in all directions.
Exactly, 100%. I'm a full on board with that methodology. That is 100% Tom tactics. I agree with it. So. Do you think so? It's interesting. What I found interesting of Tiberius likes to live dangerously. That he does. All head full, way forward. It's interesting that question. That how long does it take? Because I think as we've all got older, you want a game that doesn't take all day. Because like 40k takes hours. If you and all that sort of thing, it can take hours and hours and hours. So I think, I don't know, on average, maybe 2 hours for a Battlefleet Gothic game, I'd say, if you know what you're doing. You think?
Yeah,
That's probably fair,
yeah,
isn't it?
sure.
That's good.
I used to play 40k back in the days, and that's exactly the point. I dislike the time to spend in one 40k game. And you're playing for 3-4 hours, and on the halfway you see, okay, I've already lost maybe. So
I think
Battlefield
it
Gothic
comes.
is, in my opinion, way quicker than 40k for sure. And I like
think
that.
it helps
So you
with
can play 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, I think that the smaller number of models helps. It's surprising how much of your time is taken up not with progressing the game so much as physically having to move models. In 40k you play a 1500 point 40k model. The 40k game you're having to move what could amount to like 50, 60 individual models, whereas the equivalent in Battlefleet Gothic, you could knock that out with 3 models if you wanted to.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think one of the benefits of Battlefleet Gothic that I think we soon. I was wondering if Roy was going to answer that. Challenge live on stream for a rematch. So yeah, you have to do that one, mate. I think it's interesting that someone would ask that because I don't think it takes as long as one of those games. I think you can knock out so the Battlefleet Gothic has 2 different types of scenario: raids and battles, for want of a better word. And the raids are only like 750 points worth of ships, which is only really, 4 ships, really, give or take. Yeah. At some point, I'll have to actually again. Yes, you will. Okay. And then battles are, like the boys said, up to 1,500 points, and that's maybe 10, 15 ships, something like that, and they'll take a lot longer. But you could do an easy raid in easily an hour, I'd say. I reckon that's basic rules.
It's a simple rule, small number of ships. You could play that in about an hour easy.
So talking about points, what do you guys think is your recommended points limit for a fun game of Battlefield Gothic?
I would say, for me, probably about 1,000 is a nice sweet spot. I think you can have some really interesting games in the raids for 750 for sure. 1,500 it gets a bit more unwieldy. I'd say you can play games bigger than 1,500, but by that point you start getting to beyond a critical mass, right? Where you'll be the amount of firepower you're able to unleash on any given ship means you're alphaing people off the field, and it's not that. But yeah, I'd say the sweet spot's probably about 1,000. If I'm honest, for me anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think 1,500 is a nice max. You can play the bigger, and of course, if you have fun, go with 5,000 power points with some friends. Have a lot of fun, but effectively 1,500 is a good max margin, and it also limits the choices of ships you can take, which is fun. Because if you have many points, you can take everything you like, but the limited choice makes it interesting, I think.
Chris, what do you think, mate? I'll get back on. I have a question for you, Roy, but on that. But Chris, what do you think, mate? What's as someone who's come into it a little bit later than the other two? Do you think 1,000 points or a bit more, a bit less? What do you think, mate?
1,000 to 1,250 points. That's my opinion of a good and fun game. Yeah. And don't make it too small because it takes too long to kill a cruiser.
Which is good because, I mean, nowadays in certain games you kind of you put a model down and then you're probably taking it off in about 5 minutes, whereas that's not what happens in Battlefield Gothic. Ships are meant to last, And it's only me as an idiot who doesn't brace for impact because it's fun. But, you know, if you're doing tactics, you would. And they last and they hang around, and it's very rare you're taking a ship off the board that's been blown up, sort of thing. But I'm interested, like, Roy, you've played more games than any of us, mate, and you've helped write rules. What's your thought on people when they start going to that 2,000 points mark? Is it just hate? Because I found it very unwieldy and very difficult to play beyond 2,000 points.
I don't have an opinion. I mean, everybody can have fun with those points. If they have the time to manage the fleet, sure, go ahead, have fun. I know Zalnik, who's the admin of Discord, he says one of his best games was 3,000 points aside. So, I mean, each his own, I think.
Yeah. We'll get onto that, Arcane. Definitely, that's a good question. And to note, I think you'll understand the opinion from these two when they say nightshades, they're escorts. So if used right, yeah. Depends on the fleet too. So, but yeah, that's cool. So this is an interesting question for me because I'm not really sure about it. Why take weapons batteries over maximizing lances?
If you're facing Eldar, you're doomed if you don't.
That was one of my answers. I was
The
like,
best
yeah,
point.
don't take lances if you're in a
Not only Eldar. I mean, lances are now on average it's 4 and up, easy hit, but batteries, you have more of them. When you get close, you get many die. And sometimes you roll many 5s and 6s, so you do a lot of damage in one turn. So I never lead without batteries. I think the fleet needs to have a good mix between batteries, lances, ordnance, and torpedoes. It all needs to finish off the enemy fleet.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's that law of probabilities, isn't it? You get it's harder to hit with weapons batteries, but if you're rolling 12 dice versus 3 dice, then you've got a good chance of hitting.
Wave dice.
And I don't really get the question. I mean, there are hundreds of weapons shooting into the void. I mean, why not using weapon batteries?
I mean, these are just the questions, guys. Don't shoot the messenger, right? With your answers, it's not the thing, right? But we'll answer Arcanes because Arcanes is here. So, are escorts worth taking? Do they last long enough to be useful? Yes and yes. And I think the only fleet that doesn't make sense but they have a place, is the Chaos Fleet. It's very rare I'll take escorts in a Chaos Fleet because their cruisers are so cheap. And it's almost better to try and fit another cruiser in than try and get a squadron of 3 or 4 escorts in. But each their own. That's the only fleet that I'm like, maybe not. But
I'd agree with that. And the fact that the Chaos cruisers tend to be that little bit faster than their Imperial counterparts as well. I mean, the Slaughter class cruiser in the Chaos fleets can keep up with escorts in every. Why would you take 3 escorts when you can take a Slaughter class and move just as fast
and put up more damage? Yeah.
That being said, I still have a load of Chaos escorts because they look good.
Yeah, same. Roy, what did you say, mate? Sorry.
Of course, escorts are good, last long, and they do a lot of damage. And in the Chaos fleet, I think it's Emperor, they bring torpedoes in a Chaos fleet. And that's about
That's the only one. The only one I would take is the one with the torpedoes. Yeah.
And the iconoclast, the street vessel, you can throw it in a large bomber wave to just throw up all the bombers. Expandable escort. That's also fun to use. So,
that's a very me tactic. Ships blow up. No need to worry about it. So.
I think it's all too easy to just throw escorts in as a shield and a screen for your bigger ships. If used tactically, they can be quite devastating, regardless of what fleet you're in. If you use their maneuverability and speed to get behind an enemy cruiser, and you can sit there and pummel them.
I was playing Gary earlier, and he had one of my favorite combinations for the Imperial fleet, which is 2 swords, a firestorm, and a lance dauntless floating around together. And I've always been a huge fan of that tactic because that's weapons battery 12 and then 4 lances. And floating that around is a little bit of a speedy sledgehammer now and again, picking off potential cruisers that may be very hurt or cripple cruisers. I've always enjoyed that little sneaky, and you keep them behind a little bit. It's a favorite tactic of mine. I do like that personally. And then obviously nightshades. I mean, you boys just, I saw some fear in your eyes when you said nightshades earlier. You see the sweat. You see the sweat come from
no fear. Just fun when using them. Because, little squads of 3 zipping around the field, shooting those dogs. It's an easy play.
So mean. They're so mean. Is it elbow torpedoes that re-roll if they miss? Is it? It is, isn't it?
They re-roll, and turrets only hit on the 6.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well,
all right, so I've got another question for you guys. How do power rams work? It's a hard one, isn't it? I was like, where is that in the rules? I can't remember.
Power ram, you can in a Battlefleet, you have to model it on the ship. That's one of the prerequisites. It costs 5 points, and the moment you ram, you have the successful onward full, successful ramming attack, and you have one. It does 1 damage without rolling. That's it.
That's how I thought it was as well. So I'm really glad I thought that was right. Like, oh God, am I going to get the rule wrong? I swear to God, I definitely did some rules wrong today with playing a couple of games. I was like, I'm sure that's incorrect, but it's fine. It's all right. It's not going to influence the game, so we're good. So,
you're all having fun. It don't matter, does it?
I'm very much renowned for not remembering several rules across all games. It's just my brain. I can't remember all of them. I know I play too many games, I forget. So yeah, it was still fun. Yeah, still go. So this is an interesting one that came out actually from Facebook. So and Tom, you touched on this earlier with the Voidstalker thing, and it happens with other ships as well, like the Eldar Voidstalker. You need to be you have to have 1,000 points to play it, or 99 points, or whatever, 999. Do you play the game? What rules? Do you play the rules, the points allotment, or do you play points spent? So do you have to spend 1,000 points to then get the ship in, and you have to make it to that 1,000 points and then play, or do you have just the allotment of points and the pool of points, and that's fine as long as it's in that range? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it comes down really to what we want in a game.
I'd say it's between players.
Yeah, if you play,
everyone said that as well in the Facebook thing as well. It was like, it comes down to the player's choice. But what do you guys think?
Now, rules are written. It depends. There's some ships you need those 1,000 points, and then you can add the battleship. I think that with the Grey Knights parts, and with some of this, you have 1,000 points, and part of those 1,000 points is the battleship, like the Voidstalker. If you field that field, the fleet need exactly 1,000 points, and you can have the Voidstalker as a part of it. If your field is 990 points, you cannot have a Voidstalker. You have to reach exact 1,000 points. And they even written it as, if you play a 1,000-point game, you must reach 1,000 exactly to beat the Voidstalker, not 99. And in most cases, the battleship is part of the Voidstalker.
I'm inclined to agree. I think so too. But now I got a good one. This is one for Chris. How do you do those bases so well?
Good question. I started back then with airbrushing, and I practiced a lot on just paper sheets, and I have the right stencils to do it, and it's just practice and practice.
I do like
Overall, again.
the little. Is it the Bowie one you did with the little?
Is The Expanse.
That's
Expanse,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Julie Moe floating through space is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the one.
Thanks.
Yeah, official question. Got it. Like, how does Chris do those bases? Can't fault it.
I made a tutorial for it, for sure. In the
You can. You've done a tutorial on it as well, haven't you? On
on my Instagram, I do have a video tutorial, and in one of the last Warcrafts, I've done a tutorial on how to do my bases.
Yes, that's for those that may not know. Horizon writes the Warcraft magazine, which was a fan supplement magazine that has been going for years and years and years, and it got up to what, like 33 magazines, mate, and then it obviously stopped for a while, and you've restarted it back up, which is awesome.
Yeah, thanks to the community.
Thanks to the community. I mean, it's restarted, and it was quite interesting because about probably 2 years ago, I was talking with several other people in the community via various different Discords. This is before the Battlefleet Gothic Discord started, and in Facebook. And the talk was, let's try and do a magazine like Warcraft, and try and restart it. But the energy just wasn't, like, loads of people were keen to help, but we didn't really get anything off, like, get the energy to get it going, sort of thing. And then when the Discord started and Facebook started kicking up and Instagram started kicking up again, it's great to see it back. It's just another thing that's just been added. So I'm really glad you brought it back, mate. It's good.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, well.
It's good. So if you guys don't know what that is, you can find them all on the Special Psalms thing. You can find them on my website. And it's just, if you want all the cool stuff that the community have done, including these guys, you should check it out. I do have I have actually a question for you guys from me. This is actually a genuine question for me. Do you guys ever remember to do teleport attacks in your games?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. I was like, that's just not a thing that anyone does. Like,
not
good.
Even once.
I don't feel alone. I don't feel that I'm the only admiral in the community that forgets to do that now. Good.
Even used to catch me out playing the computer game for Battlefleet Gothic, seeing some of the AI ships launching a teleport attack against my ships. What the hell are you doing? What's that?
Yeah.
How rude. That's not a thing. That's just cheating. What are you doing?
That's cheating. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's in the as well. Oh, right. It's the weirdest thing about that whole thing. It's actually even written on the cheat sheet that you've got in the base game. So it's even written there I swear to God, like, no one ever uses it.
I think the problem is, I think on the cheat sheet, it's like the title, teleport attacks, and then a page reference number to the book. So it's not like it's one of those things where you can just use the cheat sheet. You then gotta go and flick through the rule book. And so you forget about it, you ignore it.
I genuinely cannot think of the rules for it as well. Like, even if I remembered, I know it's like, you need to be within 15 centimeters and the shields need to be down on the opposite ship and stuff. I think it's just a hit and run attack, right? I reckon, probably, but off the top of my head. But I'm like, I'm never going to remember that. It's not going to happen. It's all good. All right, gents. Look, we've come to the hour. That's it. That's the actual hour. So, yeah. Thanks very much for joining me. Yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure chatting with you boys. And yeah, do you want to say anything at the end before I give you a big up?
Thank you to everybody that's tuned in to see us all. Been a pleasure, as always. We ought to do this more often, mate. I think this is cool.
Yes, sir.
Also a pleasure for me.
I hope we can do it again, boys. Maybe we can, if people aren't available, then, if one of us isn't available, then maybe we get a different person in as well. I mean, there's plenty of people in the community that I'm sure would love to talk to you boys about Battlefleet Gothic. So look, you guys should, people watching Best Back and watching now, you guys should go follow these guys. They are really, honestly and truthfully, the heartbeat of the community in Battlefleet Gothic. They do loads of amazing things, painting and playing wise. They help write the rules. If you haven't checked out the Facebook page and the Discord, go do so. But at the very least, follow these three, because they are the heartbeat of Battlefleet Gothic in this community. It's not just me by any stretch of imagination. I rely on these three so much. So cheers everyone for coming and watching, and cheers for everyone watching back. Boys, absolute pleasure. Love what you do. Just keep doing it, please. It keeps me happy to see what you guys are doing. So
Thanks very much, Tom.
cheers, boys.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
one.